If you're struggling with overwhelm, it's probably because you have control issues. And ironically, your overwhelm is the one thing that you can control. Let me show you how. My name is Michael Edwards, and I help people unlock the untapped potential within them, live more authentic, fully expressed lives, and cultivate personal freedom. Overwhelm is something that I've helped so many people with. And in today's video, I'm going to share with you 3 kind of reframes and changes to your focus that are going to help you with this, followed by some practical tools at the end that you can implement right now to help dissipate that feeling of overwhelm. So first of all, I just want to really emphasize that the overwhelm that you're experiencing isn't real. It is all in your head. It's all in your head. And there might be a part of you that argues and says, no, you don't understand. I have so much to do. I do understand. I own a business. I totally understand. And it's all in your head. And so it's not about the first lie that you're telling yourself is that it's about all of these things that you need to do. And if you could just get everything off your plate, then you wouldn't be overwhelmed anymore. That's not it. Because the truth is, that's not how life works. Things are constantly being added to our plate. It's our ability to manage ourselves, our emotional and mental state while things are on our plate and we have lots of things asking for our attention, a lot of priorities. That's how you deal with overwhelm. The getting things done is just like running on a hamster wheel, literally that endless spinning, endless spinning, endless spinning. And I know that's how many of my clients who are dealing with overwhelm describe it. So first of all, it has nothing to do with how much you have to do, and it has everything to do with how you're managing yourself and your mind. So the first thing that is going to drive you crazy and have you spinning like a hamster wheel in your head is focusing on what you can't control rather than what you can. And this is what I was saying at the beginning. Ironically, your overwhelm is something that you can control by controlling where you place your attention. But by placing your attention on everything that you can't control, you actually are creating the overwhelm. So the first question is, what can you control? Well, you can control what you do with your time. You can control with what you do your energy. You can control with what you prioritize. You can control how you communicate. So these are some places to start. And look, I get it. I own a business and I have had months where it's amazing and it's just raining money. And then I have months where it feels like a drive spell. And I feel like, is anybody ever going to buy again? Like, hello, where are all the people? But the truth is, I cannot control when somebody buys in my business. I can't control when someone buys a course. I can't control when I sign a new client, but I can control how much I market, how much I advertise, how much I show up on social media. I can control if I sit there looking at my bank account or my Stripe and stressing about nobody having bought anything for 10 days, or I can get my butt in gear and I can go and make some content. I can have a sale. I can email people to my list. And so we've really got to train ourselves to actually take action and work on what we have control of. There's so many things in life that are kind of a dance with the universe. And it's like, you can't control what your partner does, but you can control what you do. And by taking your energy and your focus and moving it to what you can control, you're already going to start to let go of some of that overwhelm. And even if you say, I'm doing all the things, that's what I am doing. I'm doing all the things. What you're probably doing is you're focusing on too big of chunks. You need to take bite-sized chunks out of things, bite-sized. So instead of, I have to complete an entire website for my business, it might be, I need to register my domain. I need to register my domain. I need to do an outline for the homepage. I need to get a logo. Those are all things that I can manageably do. Whether if I think about a project that's too big, like say launching a book, I can't, that's so much for me to hold. But if I think, okay, the next thing I need to do is write this chapter, I need to contact this person, I need to spend 15 minutes going over my final title ideas. Those are all things that I can do manageably. And it's funny, as I even say that right now, I can feel sort of a calming sensation in my body. So we've got to have chunks that are manageable. The next thing that will put you into overwhelm is being focused on anything but the present. And so very often we send our mind into the future and we go, this is going to happen and this is going to happen. What if this happens and what if that happens? Or we go into the past and we go, I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done. All of that is that hamster wheel again in your mind, taking you out of what you can control and being present in the present, which is your only point of control. You will only ever be in the present. Your entire life is a series of present moments that unfold, like now, now, now. You only experience the present. So you can only move from the present. So the question is, what can you do right now? Right now. If you have a bunch of things to do, what can you do now that will move you towards your goals? And that thing might be to shut off your brain and rest. Because if you want to think as well about, I think about it like my level of resource. It's like I start the day at 100 if I slept well and I took care of myself and I exercised and I ate well. And then throughout the day, it goes down. And if I keep pushing when I'm low resource, then a lot of the time what happens is that I wake up I don't wake up at 100. I wake up at 70 the next day and then 60. And that I actually get less done and it takes me more time. And so rest and taking care of yourself is actually such a fundamental piece of starting every day at 100. And so asking yourself, what can I do right now in the present? And that even if that is to shut off my brain and go to bed, or to just rest and not run that treadmill anymore, that hamster wheel in your mind, because that is exhausting you. When we're overwhelmed, it's not physical exhaustion. We have burnout. It's not physical, it's a mental. So stop burning out your mind by running it like this constant machine. You have to disconnect, you have to unplug, and you have to be able to unwind at some point. The next thing that will push you into overwhelm, if you are moving from the emotional state of fear rather than faith. And what I mean by this is we have two circuits in our nervous system that can't be on at the same time. You're in one or you're in the other. One is faith, hope, trust. What if it works? The other is fear, panic, lack. What if it doesn't work? You can only be in one. And so if your nervous system, if your mind is in this fear state, then you tend to run like you're running from something. Have you ever had that feeling of like, I'm busy, I've got to do this, I've got to do this? I know I felt that at times in my business before I really developed this emotional, before I really learned to regulate my own nervous system and learned this emotional mastery that I teach, is it was so easy to move from fear, almost like something's chasing me. I'm creating things to sell, or I'm selling like I'm running from something, this constant state of like, I've got to keep going, I've got to keep going. And sometimes after those periods of time, I would look and be like, I don't even know what I did. I've been working and going from this state of fear. But when I look back, I don't even really know what I accomplished. And that's so often the case when we move from fear. We're just running aimlessly. If I can take that moment and move, and I really feel it in my heart, if I can move myself into faith, trust, hope, I know that it's going to work. I believe in this. I believe in myself. I believe in what I'm doing. I believe that everything's going to work. Faith is belief without evidence. So can you believe that everything's going to work out, even if it doesn't seem like it is? It will put you in a state where you are going to get so much more, where you are going to create so much more effectively. Even if things don't end up going exactly the way you want, you will be the version of you that's going to create the best outcome, as opposed to being the version of you in fear that's going to create the worst outcome. And finally, speaking about that fear, it's so important that you learn to self-regulate your nervous system. So you want to notice when you're being overstimulated. If you have too much coffee, you might be overstimulated. If you have too much stress, you might be overstimulated. If you kind of move through your day from thing to thing to thing without taking a moment in between and going, let me reset, you might be overstimulated. You do not want to live in a state of hyperactivity in your nervous system. You want to be cool, calm, and collected. So I recommend a mindfulness practice. You can just spend 2 minutes a couple times a day, really connecting to all of your senses. Set a timer for 2 minutes and just have kind of a blank stare and notice everything you can see, the shapes, the colors, textures. You can do it with hearing. Notice everything you can hear, from the furthest sound away to the closest, from the loudest to the quietest, and just cycle through what you can hear, almost like you're a hunter or something. You can use your skin. You can notice all the sensations in your body. You can notice the temperature of the air. You can see if you can notice little details like the skin in between your toes. You can see if you can notice all the places that your clothes are touching you and what it feels like. There's so many different little simple mindfulness things that you can do. You can have a meditation practice. Meditation's amazing. If you don't know how to meditate, there's a million YouTube videos, and I'm going to be adding more meditation videos to my YouTube channel as well. So develop a practice to regulate your nervous system and be honest with yourself. If you're not sleeping well, if you're not eating well, and if you're having too much coffee, then those are some things to really look at, because the body is like your home. You live in your body. And so if it's not in a good state, that affects your state of being so much, which is not going to help you deal with the stresses and pressures of life, and is just going to lead to more overwhelm. And finally, I'm going to do a focus exercise with you that's going to help you shift your perspective in some of the ways that we've talked about. So I want you to just for a minute call up everything in your mind that you're overwhelmed about. You can keep your eyes open, just kind of have a blank stare forward, and just bring up everything that you're overwhelmed about, every single thing that you're stressed out about, everything on your to-do list, all the things, if there's relationship things, if there's emotional things, if there's financial things, just bring it all up. Bring up as much of it as you can so you can see it like a pile in your mind, almost like you have eyes inside your head and you can see all the stuff that you're stressed out about, that you're overwhelmed about. Really bring it up. And if you get a little bit stressed, if your body's reacting, that's totally fine. See all that stuff that you're overwhelmed about in your mind's eye. And now I want you to let everything that's in your mind that you're focused on just rush away into the distance. And I want you to see everything around you, the furniture, the walls, the floor, whatever's around you, and when you let it rush towards you in your vision, let everything that's around you rush towards you. Really see it. If there's a table, if there's a chair, if there's a carpet, whatever there is, if this is computer, whatever you're watching, see the edges of it, see the glass, let it rush towards you into your focus as all that overwhelmed stuff rushes off into the distance, getting smaller and smaller and further away. As you let the room rush in, as you let the present moment rush in, as you let the now and your experience and all of your senses rush in and become the experience of your awareness. And let that overwhelm get further and further away as you're more and more focused on what is around you, as it gets more and more intense in your awareness, almost like it's like popping out 3D. And just notice what's happened. Notice what's happened in your mind. Notice what's happened in your body. And just realize that you can do this in any moment of any day. When you feel that starting to go, just let it rush away and let the present rush in to your awareness. If you can make those reframes and mindset shifts that we've talked about today, regulate your nervous system, and do this exercise when you're in a pinch, I know that it's going to help you so much. And the final thing is I want you to stop using the word overwhelm. You don't say it anymore. You don't say I'm overwhelmed. You don't say my overwhelm. You say I have a lot on my plate, but I'm dealing with it. I have a lot to do, but I get something done every day. The word itself brings up the feeling, so you don't use it anymore. I had a client say to me once, I didn't have much time. I think it was at the end of the call, and she brought up her overwhelm, and I was like, okay, your homework for the next week is that you're not allowed to say you're overwhelmed anymore. And she came back and she said, I can't believe how much better I feel from just not saying overwhelmed. So that's your bonus tip. Stop using the word overwhelm or any other kind of language like anxiety that brings up that state. Don't label it. Talk about it in a neutral way. I have a lot to do, but I'm getting it done. My name is Michael Edwards. Thank you for joining me today. You can connect with me on Facebook, follow me on Instagram, and make sure you check out my content and my podcast and YouTube videos. Make sure you hit subscribe and smash that like button. Thank you for joining me today, and bye for now.